What's going on, Packers fans? Happy Wednesday afternoon. Welcome into an all-new episode of the Pack-A-Day Podcast. I'm your host, Andy Herman. You can follow me on Twitter at Andy Herman NFL. You can find the podcast at Pack-A-Day Podcast. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you'd be ever so kind as to like, subscribe, comment, give those 5-star reviews. We always appreciate that a ton. We're going to get to our grades and film review here in just a moment. Before we get there, a few different things to go over, including some transactions, final injury report, etc. Also want to shout out Charlie Neiman, Roy O, Elliot Hester, and just the letter F, I guess, which is appropriate maybe for the show. Thank you so much for signing up to become brand new members. Appreciate you guys a ton. As mentioned, we did have some transactions that took place, some interesting transactions. Packers released kicker Lucas Haversick. Brandon McManus clearly good to go. They feel comfortable with him. Haversick had that rough outing in the wind, and now his time in Green Bay is done. At least for now, we'll see if they bring him back in the practice squad. That could be a potential option for Green Bay. But otherwise, if he is gone, he mostly did his job. Again, had the one issue in the wind, I guess the two kicks in the wind, but it didn't cost Green Bay in that game when they really needed him. He came up big. I would still say overall a rather successful stint for Lucas Haversick in Green Bay, but he was released. They signed wide receiver Will Shepherd. That's an interesting transaction. Will Shepherd did get some time as a punt returner in preseason. It's not something he did a ton in his college career, really at all in his college career or anything like that. So it's not like they got this dynamic punt returner now, but it is a potential another option for that spot. They also may need some wide receivers because of some injuries. We'll talk about that in just a moment. They also elevated linebacker Jamin Johnson and safety Jalen Simpson. Both of those could be core special teams players if, in fact, they're actually active on game day. Just because they're activated the day before doesn't mean that they're actually going to make that final 48-man roster, just like we saw with Jamin Johnson a day ago. These could be just in case, break in case of emergency sort of players that they have available if they need them, but they may not need them dependent upon some of the final injury statuses, which we're going to go over right now. All right. Out for Green Bay in this game, Carl Brooks, which means they're going to be limited to 4 defensive tackles. They'll still have their, starting duo of Devontae Wyatt and Colby Wooden. They'll also have Warren Brinson and Nasir Stackhouse, the 2 rookies, but Carl Brooks is out for this game. Shouldn't be a huge deal. He only played 3 snaps a week ago. I think they should be fine without him. Jaden Reed did not get activated, so he is out for this game. LVN is out. Is a little bit of a disappointment there that they thought he was going to be ready. Probably another one of those players that they should have waited a few more days and not brought back last week. Hindsight's always 2020, but Green Bay's not again had the best track record with bringing some of these players back from injury. He was clearly still hurt. Was only playing 6 snaps a week ago. He is out for this game. Savion Williams, another interesting one here where he's been able to fight through this foot injury. I don't know if it got worse, if he aggravated it, etc., but he is out for this game as well. So just to recap, Carl Brooks, Jaden Reed, LVN, and Savion Williams all are out for this game. There are 4 additional players who are questionable for this game. Matthew Golden is going to be a big one too. If he could go, that would be huge for Green Bay. The call-up of Will Shepherd would maybe say he might not be able to go, or at least it's a game-time decision. Nate Hobbs and Keyshawn Nixon, both questionable. It should be noted that Tyron Herring was not called up for this game. He's their only other corner on the practice squad. I would be pretty stunned if Green Bay wanted to go into this game with only at true outside corner, Kamal Haddon, Carrington Valentine, and then Bo Melton, who has never played an NFL snap as a defender. I don't think that they'd want to go with just 3. I'd be willing to bet you that means either Nate Hobbs or Keyshawn Nixon are going to be able to go in this game. Which one it is, or maybe both, that's a possibility as well. But I can't imagine they'd only go in with 3 true corners. They're 2 corner injuries away in that situation from not having another outside corner. I don't even know who would play in that situation. And maybe, I guess you put Bullard maybe on the outside and then put Evan Williams in the slot. I just can't imagine that they would let that happen. So I would assume that either Hobbs, Nixon, or both are able to go for this game. They did bring up Jalen Simpson, the safety, that gives them an extra defensive back. I think probably, again, more special teams there than anything, but that doesn't solve the corner issue if both Hobbs and Nixon aren't able to go. So again, I would be surprised if both of them are inactive for this game. And then Quay Walker. The interesting thing with Jamin Johnson is Quay Walker was not active a week ago. They called up Jamin Johnson and they still didn't put him on the 48-man game day roster. I'm not sure the exact situation that would need to take place for Jamin Johnson to get activated, but I would assume if he's active on game day, Quay Walker, unlikely to go in this one. He's probably another one of those game time decisions that they're going to get to Detroit on Thursday, make the decision prior to the game, and see if Quay can go or not. So just to kind of recap, I should actually say one other thing really quick. One player not on the injury report, Josh Jacobs, and they didn't call up Pierre Strong. So Josh Jacobs, good to go for this game, which is massive, kind of burying the lead there, I guess, but a massive addition back for Green Bay in Josh Jacobs. So just to recap, Carl Brooks, Jaden Reed, LVN, and Savion Williams are all out. Matthew Golden, Nate Hobbs, Keyshawn Nixon, and Quay Walker are questionable. Josh Jacobs is good to go. They released Lucas Avrasic. They signed wide receiver Will Shepard to the active 53-man roster, and they called up linebackers Jamin Johnson and safety Jalen Simpson. As mentioned, they did not call up Tyron Herring, which, again, would lead you to believe that one of those corners is able to go in this game. Meanwhile, for Detroit, I'm looking at my phone now again because I want to keep an extra eye on this. Doesn't seem like there's been any indication yet. The Lions brought back Frank Ragnow from retirement. That's a crazy move to get a player like that on November 26th. He's an all-time stud for them. He's an unbelievable center. I can't imagine he's going to be playing in this game against Green Bay on that short of notice. But with the Lions, you never quite know. I'm recording this at 3:06 p.m. on Wednesday. As of now, again, there's been no indication if he's going to actually be able to play in this game, and much less start and play a whole game or anything like that. But just a little bit of something extra to keep an eye on. I'd be personally, as of, again, recording this right now, surprised if Ragnow's able to go. But again, with Detroit, you never quite know. They're ultra aggressive. They'll do anything. Nothing's off limits. Nothing's taboo. So who knows? So keep an eye on that. I would assume he's not, but you can never assume too much when it comes to the Detroit Lions. Either way, a huge addition for them for the remainder of this season. Let's get to what's on the horizon presented by Schreiber Horizon. Let's take a look at this playoff picture and, more importantly, what you're cheering for this weekend besides Green Bay over Detroit. The big one is Green Bay over Detroit. Green Bay's a 94% chance to make the playoffs if they win this game. 94%. If they lose, they're still at 73%, basically 3/4 chance to win, but it does change that. That's a 21% difference, and a win over Detroit has them extremely trending in the right direction to get a playoff spot this upcoming season. It gives them a lot better chance to win the NFC North as well. The other games that you want to cheer for, they have a 6% better odds to make the playoffs if the Eagles beat the Bears. So you're cheering for the Eagles this week over Chicago. There's a 3% better chance for Green Bay to make the playoffs if the Browns beat the 49ers. So not an ideal one to have to cheer for, but you are cheering for the Browns over the 49ers. And speaking of not ideal things to cheer for, the Vikings, if they beat Seattle, Green Bay has a 1% better chance to make the playoffs. It's not a ton, but it is a little bit as well. So you're cheering for the Eagles, the Browns, and the Vikings over the Bears, 49ers, and Seahawks, respectively. That's who you want to cheer for. And of course, again, the big one is Green Bay over Detroit, which you know already. That's not earth-shattering or groundbreaking, but those are the big ones to kind of cheer for through the course of this weekend. Now, I want to tell you about a key part of Schreiber Horizon's suite of solutions. It's called The Hitch. The Hitch is Schreiber Horizon's end-to-end logistics solution, ensuring your product moves safely and efficiently from plant to retail. Schreiber goes beyond basic transportation to deliver a seamlessly integrated distribution experience. From temperature-sensitive freight to customized packaging solutions, Schreiber manages every step with precision, reliability, and care. You can expect cost efficiency, simplified operations, scalable support, and trusted expertise. The Hitch doesn't just move product, they connect you to one of the most trusted, well-established distribution networks in the food industry. Backed by decades of Schreiber experience, Schreiber partners with major retailers, reliable suppliers, and expert carriers to ensure your goods get where they want to go efficiently, accurately, and on time. You can find out more by snapping a picture of the QR code on your screen or going to schreiberhorizon.com. Let's get to the film review, and then we'll get to our grades. Film review, just two quick notes. Mike Wall and I talked earlier this week, and he was talking before I got to go over the film, and he basically said, yeah, the offensive film is a lot uglier than you would expect. I'm paraphrasing there a little bit, but he was not wrong. It was really disappointing, to see the offense kind of play like that. They haven't been quite the same without Tucker Kraft. I know that they got through Minnesota in that game. They put up 100 yards on the ground with Emmanuel Wilson. They had some, plays that got them into, touchdowns or whatever. But if you really think, the touchdowns came off of what? A sort of shaky pass interference call to Luke Musgrave and a punt return muff that the Zane Anderson really created. They didn't really put drives together to score touchdowns. And then even when they got the ball late in the game, and I know they were being ultra conservative, I get that. I've defended that already. But even when they did and they got it in plus territory, they had to settle for field goals or even punt the ball away in one of those instances. The bigger thing here is the offensive line still struggled immensely in this game, even with the addition of Anthony Belton, who we'll talk about more in just a moment, and getting him in at right guard. There were a lot of blown assignments up front. Go back and really think about it or rewatch it if you want. There were multiple times where a defender was running clean on Emmanuel Wilson and he had to either make somebody miss or he was just dead to rights. And then how many times did Jordan Love have immediate pressure on him where he had to just sort of loft one to, out to Christian Watson or the one to Dontavian Wicks? He was under pressure too, despite not having to throw the ball a ton. He had a lot of immediate pressure in this game. There were a lot of blown assignments up front. That's really, really concerning. As again, we're in week 12 going into week 13. So I didn't think the film on offense was very flattering for Green Bay. On the flip side, the defense, I thought not only did we know it was a great game, not only, of course, was J.J. McCarthy terrible, but I thought Jeff Hafley had the answers to the test for this one. We talked about going into that game of how important it was going to be for the defense to take away the easy button throws for J.J. McCarthy, not let him be comfortable at all in that game. And I thought they did a great job of that. And I thought Jeff Hafley had his defenders in good positions in run defense as well. There were a couple issues early on, a little bit shaky run defense, but I thought overall, and that wasn't his fault. That was just players needed to go out and execute. I thought Jeff Hafley was phenomenal in this one. Again, it makes it easier to call games, when J.J. McCarthy's at quarterback, and clearly the Minnesota Vikings did not trust J.J. McCarthy. That limits some of the things that you have to cover, that you have to prepare for, and it just makes it a lot easier as a defensive coordinator. But we've seen Green Bay teams in the past against bad quarterbacks where they didn't have the answers and the bad quarterbacks still found a way to tear them apart. That was not the case in this one. And so I thought he did, again, a tremendous job of putting players in a position to be successful. And for the most part, the defenders responded to that, answered the call and had a really fantastic game as well. Shut down the Vikings, limited them to 6 points and 250-plus yard field goals, came away with turnovers, a stop on fourth down, a really, really impressive day for the defense. Let's get to our grades for this one. Top 3 players on offense. Let's start with number 1, Emmanuel Wilson, plus 0.6. I love how hard he ran in this game. He ran behind his pads. The 2 touchdown runs, there was nothing there. And they were early and down. So maybe if he gets stuff there, maybe they get in on another play. You can't take that for granted. There's no guarantee that they get in the end zone. He fought for those and got into the end zone. I thought those 2 plays were huge. There was a couple third down runs where, again, he was dead to rights and he was able to maneuver and pick up a first down. There were other times he wasn't able to due to no fault of his own. There's maybe a pass pro play here or there that wasn't great. There were a couple things. There were a couple runs where I thought he could have cut outside. There was a toss play. I thought he could have gone outside. He cut it in where there was nothing there. It's a couple of vision things here and there. The only reason why this grade wasn't better for Emmanuel Wilson, and I feel like this got swept under the rug a little bit, he had a true legitimate fumble in this game. He goes up the middle. They're up by 17 at the time. It's late in the game. It probably wouldn't have affected much at all. But he runs up the middle. He kind of is looking for a hole and kind of gets caught behind his own offensive lineman. And he gets the ball punched out and it's on the ground. I think it was Aaron Banks that ultimately recovered that one. That was a potential... I don't think it would have been a game-changing play. Even if Minnesota recovers, they probably do nothing with it. But you still don't want to see the ball on the ground. It wasn't like it was on the sidelines or anything like that. He's in the middle of the fray, and he gets it punched out, and it's a true fumble, which cost him a little bit in this grade overall. But I still thought, in general, besides the one fumble, maybe 1 or 2 reads, I thought he had a phenomenal game. And filling in for Josh Jacobs with not the greatest run blocking in the world, still a very productive day for Emmanuel Wilson. Hey friends, it's time to get our sleeper picks in for week 13 already. We're going Monday Night Football. You know me, these are the type of games that I love getting sleeper picks in for. New England and New York. We've got a really good team in New England against a not so great, but very entertaining team in the New York Giants. This isn't some big heavyweight fight. This is just, it's football, right? And so let's get our sleeper picks in and make it a little bit more fun. I'm going Stephon Diggs, more than 47.5 receiving yards, and Trevion Henderson, more than 69.5 rushing yards against the Giants defense that, let's be honest, isn't that great. Also, Jackson Dart, more than 207.5 passing yards against New England's defense. He's going to have to throw his way into it, just like we've seen Jameis Winston try to do lately. Jackson Dart, with his first game back, he's going to go more than 207.5 passing yards in this game. Either way, you can choose your own adventure, get your picks in over on Sleeper. And the best part is that you can get a 100% match up to $100 by utilizing code PACKADAY. Again, a 100% match up to $100 by utilizing code PACKADAY. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper for details. What are you waiting for? They're available in over 25 states nationwide. So get those Sleeper picks in right now. Jordan Love was number 2. A plus 0.45, as we kind of talked about last week as well. Not a great grade for a quarterback. I thought there was a couple missed throws. There's the one where he's bootlegging to his right. I think he has Watson, or at least a chance to give him a little bit of a better ball, and he misses him. There's another one to the left side where I thought he had the chance to get it to Watson too. Kind of missed that one a little bit. The big one is the throw over the middle to Dontavian Wicks, which was a miss. There's another rollout right late to the game where Wicks has come in all the way across the field, and he throws it. And I think if he throws it out in front of him, Wicks probably has a chance to come up with that and convert a first down. Instead, it kind of like, I don't know how I want to define this. It was like almost like, I guess, sliced back, into the defense. And there was maybe, I don't know if I would call it a turnover worthy play, but he definitely put it a little bit more in harm's way, and certainly more than it needed to be. That was a tough throw for Jordan as well. So there were a handful in this game. I also thought he did an unbelievable job in some disadvantageous situations where guys were immediately in his lap, coming up with some big time throws to the sideline for Christian Watson, some ones that are not easy, where he's fading away out of need and necessity, and he's getting it across the field in an out route. Like, man, if you don't get enough under that ball, that thing gets undercut and pick six. And he had the arm strength to get it out there. Those were some big time throws. And then, of course, the one to Dontavian Wicks over the middle as well, where he's able to have immediate pressure in his face and still kind of lollipop one in to Wicks for a first down. There was some good stuff there on tape too for Jordan. He certainly didn't play bad in this game, but there were, 4 to 5 throws that he probably would have liked to have had back. That there was one read in this game too, where I didn't think he read it correctly and kind of got off of it too quickly. It's just a couple of things like that from Jordan. Still a good game, not a great game. I think that's kind of what you would have expected based on the overall performance from Jordan in this one. And then Aaron Banks, plus 0.35, playing better football. This is very reminiscent to me of what we saw from Sean Ryan last year. We're kind of play in and play out, or even game in and game out. There'd be a lot of yo-yoing. There's some really good. There's some not so good. There's a couple plays he ends up on his butt and just, on the ground and not able to block anyone. He gets over his skis a little bit. I also thought he had some really effective blocks as well. And the good outweighed the bad for Aaron Banks in this one. It's not a dominant performance by any means. You'd like to see him just clean up a couple of those mistakes. If so, you're looking at a really positive performance, but still a net positive for Aaron Banks overall. And he's been playing much better football these past couple of weeks. Bottom 3 on offense. People aren't going to like this. I'm sorry in advance. My lowest graded player on offense was Anthony Belton, negative 0.55. I know we get all excited about, something new. Guess who else was excited with something new at right guard? This guy. I was so excited to see Anthony Belton out there. This was not a bad performance by Anthony Belton. I thought overall for his first game, first time at right guard, there were some real positives to take away here, but he did have a lot of mistakes. He ended up on the ground a couple different times, missed some blocks, didn't really have the mauling mentality that maybe we would have liked to have seen or expected in the run game. He had a couple plays where he moved some people off the ball, but it wasn't certainly consistent. There's a ways to go here for growth for Anthony Belton. Again, was it a bad game for his first, real playing time? No. Do I think he still has the ability to be an upgrade over Jordan Morgan? I do. And I would keep playing him at right guard. I wouldn't switch anything right now. But if your thought process is, they got their right guard, now we can set it and forget that spot, it is going to be still a very significant work in progress for Anthony Belton as well. My second lowest graded player was Sean Ryan. I thought he had a tough day. He had multiple plays where I thought he didn't block the right player, and that's where you saw some of those players flying right up the A gap. That can't happen, and he needs to do a better job of identifying. There's one play where you tip your cap to Minnesota's defense, and I almost like wanted to post it and be like, here they're showing like a 7-man front or a 6-man front. And it's like, which of these 6 are going to come? And like 2 players off like the left side are walking down into the box, and Green Bay goes left. And at the very last moment, there's a player, I think it's Metellus, comes from right corner that's not even on the screen. And he comes screaming in right before they snap it. And then there's another player that comes off the edge for Minnesota. And it looks like it's going to be a big time pressure left. And instead, those guys drop off. One of the middle players drops off, and it's a big time pressure right. And they're adjusting the line to go left. And all of a sudden, there's a ton of pressure from the right. Man, Minnesota does a really good job with some of those looks. But I thought there were a couple plays for Sean Ryan where he just looked a little bit lost, didn't know who to block, and allowed some immediate pressure. Even when he was there, he got beat on a few different occasions right up the middle as well in this game. This one was a little bit more of like, all right, Sean Ryan is also still a work in progress at center. He's still making one of his very first starts at center. That's going to take some time as well. Those two combined, you could just tell that's where a lot of the issues kind of came in, along with my third lowest graded player, Jordan Morgan, the other player rotating at right guard. Banks had a good day. Rasheed Walker was a slight negative. It wasn't brutal, but it wasn't a great Rasheed Walker day. Zach Tom was a positive, not a huge positive, but a positive. But it was really center right guard that gave Green Bay a lot of problems in this one. Negative 0.3 for Jordan Morgan. I thought he really struggled in the first half. Had a couple good blocks, but he needed to be replaced, in my opinion. Again, it didn't get a ton better with Anthony Belton, unfortunately, but I don't know. I just don't have a ton of confidence with Jordan Morgan at right guard. I think it was time to start something different. Wouldn't have hated to at some point if they would have maybe tried Kennard there. But for now, I'm cool with Belton. Let's see what he can do in his second. We'll see if he starts. Maybe it's still Morgan. That remains to be seen against Detroit. But I like the move overall. But the bottom 3, Belton, Ryan, and Morgan, all center and right guard in this game. Some noteworthy performances on offense. Christian Watson, plus 0.25 grade. He continues to play good football since coming back from injury. Josh Wiley, plus 0.2. Luke Musgrave, plus 0.5. Darian Kennard, negative 0.15. And Fitzpatrick, negative 0.25 at tight end. So those are your tight end grades. I thought Wiley played pretty well in this one. Musgrave was okay. Kennard, it didn't add a ton, if I'm being honest. I would like to see a little bit more impact blocking if you're going to bring in that 6th offensive lineman. And then Fitzpatrick, I thought, had a little bit of a tough game, both as a blocker, also had a false start penalty. So you just got to kind of clean up some of that stuff. But it just goes to show you, you're trying 4 guys to fill in Tucker Kraft's shoes, and all 4 of them combined aren't even coming close to what Tucker Kraft provided you. It's tough. It's a bummer, but it is what it is. And then just to talk about really quick, not necessarily a grade, but a film thing. We talked about it with Justice the other day. There is a play action play at the end of the game with Malik Willis and Savion Williams. And Savion Williams is, going right up the seam, and they're going to have him on a corner route. It probably would have been a touchdown. Willis doesn't throw it. He throws it to Musgrave instead. Not a brutal play by Willis. It picks up the first down. It gets them out of the game. That's all they needed to do to kind of roll out the clock the rest of the game. But had the opportunity there. Savion Williams, nice play by him to get up. It's more of a well-designed play. The safeties bite down, assuming it's going to be a run, and he runs right by them. But that was one that you could have put 7 more points up on the board if Willis takes not even a chance, just sees it and throws that play to Savion Williams. Top 3 players on defense. Surprise, surprise, Micah Parsons, plus 1.00. I was surprised PFF didn't have a higher grade on him. Had that crazy play where he bull rushed the center over, had 2 big time sacks in this game, had a really nice play setting the edge on another play. He was fantastic once again, and also had at least 2 plays that I saw. Maybe it was even more, but at least 2 plays where he got triple teamed, which again opens up everything for everyone else. He's a machine. He's an absolute machine, a joy to watch, and another stellar performance from Micah Parsons. Isaiah McDuffie. How about freaking Isaiah McDuffie coming in? What I really loved is I thought he was really good in coverage in this game. Not what he's necessarily known for, but I thought he was really good in coverage. Plus 0.65 grade overall. Had the interception. Had a half sack, I think, with Brinson. I thought he was attacking downhill, played aggressive. Couple plays in the run game where he kind of got washed out a little bit. You'd like to see him be a little bit more physical in those instances, but a really, really impressive performance coming in off the bench for, I guess, he plays, not like he's never playing, but still for a primary linebacker spot, wearing the green dot, calling the plays. And it seemed like all game the defense was aligned correctly. There didn't seem to be any communication errors or miscues. Overall, phenomenal performance by Isaiah McDuffie. And then Evan Williams, plus 0.6 grade, interception at the end, a play where he had a tackle for loss, just flying down from safety, and just the normal Evan Williams stuff, play after play after play. He's playing such a great brand of football. Arguably my favorite player to watch on tape right now. Everything he's doing with purpose. He wants to get to every single play. We've been talking about it week after week after week. To me, he's not going to get there. I don't think. I'd be stunned actually if it happened this year. He's playing at a Pro Bowl level for sure, and he is not far from an All-Pro level. Maybe more like second team All-Pro, but like he is playing phenomenal football at safety. Said it week in and week out, but enjoy Evan Williams in the way that he's playing football right now. Bottom three on defense, there's nothing really to talk about here, if I'm being honest. Colby Wooden, -0.2. Carl Brooks, -0.15. He only played 3 plays. 1 play he got completely washed out of the play. Nasir Stackhouse, -0.05. Stackhouse played 3 plays. Basically 2 slight negative, or like 1 negative, 1 positive, 1 slight negative, which ended in a -0.05 grade. That's, again, all there is to talk about with Wooden. I thought early on in the game, he struggled a little bit to get off of blocks when you saw Mason and Aaron Jones running a little bit better early in the game. Thought Wooden could have maybe done a couple things a little bit better there, but not a bad game by Colby Wooden by any stretch of the imagination. For a little bit, I thought we might not get any negatives in this one, but 3 along the defensive line from some of the early issues stopping the run. But again, Colby Wooden, -0.2, Carl Brooks, -0.15, and Nasir Stackhouse, -0.05. Other noteworthy performances on defense, Warren Brinson, +0.2. Not maybe the day that you would expect from a player with 4 to 5 pressures, depending on how you account for it. Justice said this the other day. He's like, yeah, I watched the pressures. It wasn't actually that impressive. I kind of agree with Justice, but I thought overall he put together a good game, was active, didn't get blocked easily, continued to kind of push the pile, meaning like, get the offensive lineman back into the quarterback, and was pretty solid in run defense when given the opportunity as well. So solid performance from Warren Brinson. Rashawn Gary, +0.5. Again, if we're having a conversation that Rashawn Gary's not playing, I saw somebody post a clip online that's like, look at this play. It was like a totally fine play from Rashawn Gary. He had a nice game. He not only had what I still think is a forced fumble. It ended up being an interception, but I think it's a sack and a forced fumble for Rashawn Gary on the play where McDuffie picked it off. That was a huge play. He had, again, a really good day in run defense. Had another play where he came up for what potentially would have been the sack, but he got the initial pressure. McCarthy ducked it a little bit. I would like to see Gary finish that, but at the end of the day, Wyatt was able to clean it up for the sack on that play, and he was the one with the initial pressure. He just had a really nice day overall. I liked what I saw from Rashawn Gary in this one. So +0.5 from Rashawn. Carrington Valentine, +0.15. The corners didn't get a huge opportunity. I'll talk Kamal Haddon right away too, +0.05. Not a lot of opportunities to get thrown at because of McCarthy in this one. I just want to say about Valentine, there was one play where Justin Jefferson ran a route on the left side, and Valentine ran it for him. It was some of the most beautiful coverage I've ever seen in my life on Justin Jefferson, and it was a beautiful, beautiful play by Carrington Valentine. One of my favorites I've seen from a corner probably since like Prime Jair. It was a sexy as hell play from Carrington Valentine. So kudos to him for that. And then again, Haddon +0.05. Inside linebackers played really well. We already talked about Isaiah McDuffie, but Cooper had a +0.25 grade and Hopper had a +0.15 grade. Thought both of them played well. By the way, low key, really cool play from Hopper getting Jordan Mason on that kind of breakaway run. McKinney was going to cut him off, but the fact that Hopper had the speed to cut him down from behind was a really, really impressive play there. I thought he continued to put good tape on, out there for, future reference. He looks ready to play more. They don't need him yet. They've got 3 linebackers ahead of him. I think all 3 of those are better than him, but Hopper continues to show well when he does get put out there. And then last but not least, Javon Bullard and Xavier McKinney, +0.25 for both of them. The safety room is amazing. It's my favorite room to watch. We talked about Evan Williams, but McKinney and Bullard are really both playing good football as well. Bullard, I know, is slot corner, really. In fact, I don't think Bullard played safety in this game. I'm just putting him at safety because that's where he's still listed on the roster. But Bullard, McKinney, Williams, all 3 of them playing phenomenal football so far this year. That's what I got for you guys today. Again, top 3 on offense: Wilson, Emmanuel Wilson, Jordan Love, and Aaron Banks. Bottom 3, Belton, Sean Ryan, and Jordan Morgan. Top 3 on defense: Micah Parsons, Isaiah McDuffie, and Evan Williams. Bottom 3, Colby Wooden, Carl Brooks, and Nasir Stackhouse. We'll see you guys all very soon tomorrow for pregame show, live pregame show, live postgame show. Should be a fun Thanksgiving. Hope you guys enjoy it. Have a safe and happy holiday fueled by a big Packers victory. Shout out to our All-Pro and Hall of Fame members: PJ Wayne, John Wild, Brandon Paletta, Boom Handle, Donald Lee, Lori Lord, Baby QB, David McCluskey, Donald Decker, Alex Wong, Peter Ritaka, Jay Zimmerman, B. Brown, Puerto Rican Packer, Dan Gassford, SoCal Pack, Chris Rager, Izzy Roberts, Ian Ewing, Carlo Delgado, Willie Winkle-Stinkle, The Gable Storm, Pack Attack Cast, Chris Weish, Craig, John D. Metropolis, Hayden Radomski, Devin Lane, Gonzusa, Alexander Newell, Dan Miller, Bill Reinhart, Richard Morales, Les Nino, Beast Bumblebee, and Benjamin Sargent. I'll see you guys tomorrow, but until next time, and as always, go Pack Go.